Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nnpc Obireri. This short video broadcast is an urgent call to the federal government of Nigeria to do the right things in terms of executing massive reforms in our oil and gas sector. As a matter of emergency, as a matter of the right call and the right thing to do, the federal government of Nigeria must, as a matter of national importance, matter of national urgency, divest 60% of its shareholding in Nnpc Limited to core, technically capable, deep-pocketed private sector investors to enable us to move forward in the operations of our oil and gas assets in Nigeria. We can't continue this way. The current structure that we are running is not transparent, is not accountable, does not give room for massive investments to flow into the oil and gas sector of Nigeria. The Nnpc is only a limited liability company on paper. In the real sense of it, is still weirdly under government control. The presidency, the minister, the National Assembly still have unholy control over the activities and affairs of that corporation. Therefore, it is not efficiently and transparently and accountably run like other corporations of similar size and nature around the world. Look at the Nigeria liquefied natural gas. LNG is 51% owned by other investors, 49% by Nnpc on behalf of the Nigerian government, and see how efficiently run they are. Just last year, they gave us massive dividend. 2014, they gave us over $1.3 billion dividend. Asset size of over $17 billion, and they are massively expanding. Look at Petrobras, the Brazilian equivalent of the Nnpc. Nigeria, at a time in 2011, 2010, used to produce about 2.5 million, 2.6 million barrels of crude oil and condensate. Today, we are struggling to do 1 million, 1.3, 1.5 million barrels. This is not acceptable and this is not good. I was going through the report card of both the Petrobras and the Aramco for 2023, and the tears came to my eyes. Why are we like this in this country? Aramco declared over $124 billion profit. Aramco is quoted and listed in the Saudi Arabian Stock Exchange. Aramco, as efficiently run as it is, decided to open up the space. They have other investors, Goldman Sachs and other minority investors in Aramco. They have an efficient board. They allowed this to happen so that to inject more transparency in their operations, despite the fact that they are more transparently run than the Nnpc. Look at Petrobras, the Brazilian equivalent of Nnpc. Petrobras, I was looking through their last financial statement. The crude upstream of production for Petrobras is about 2.3 million barrels of crude, which was less than what we are doing in 2010, 2011. And I was looking at their numbers. Revenue of over $123 billion for 1 year. Net profit, $36 billion. Total assets, $174 billion. Employing 45,000 people. And do you know the interesting thing? The Brazilian government only owns 28% shares in Petrobras. In fact, non-indigenous of America, Brazil, people who are not even Brazilians own about 28% of Petrobras. Other investors own other shares. The only equity holding of the Brazilian government in Petrobras is 28%. And Petrobras is efficiently run. There is corruption in Brazil, don't get me wrong. The Brazilians are as corrupt as some of their counterparts in Nigeria. But because of the need to inject transparency, the need to inject accountability in the operations of their national oil corporation, the Brazilians opened up the space. They divested government shareholding in the company. The Brazilian government owns only 28% in Petrobras. And look at the numbers. Revenue of $124 billion. They are only doing 2.3 million barrels every year. Profit of $36 billion. Total asset size of $174 billion. And Petrobras was just founded in 1970. Look at Nnpc. that came out of the Nigerian National Oil Corporation, the merger of Nigerian National Oil Corporation and Petroleum Ministry in 1996. Of course, Nnpc is just an inheritance of the old Nigerian National Oil Corporation. That was more than Petrobras. Total assets, only $58 billion. Look at where we are. Sometimes in 2020, 2023, the Nnpc was not even paying a dime dividend into the Federation account. Because we see these things and we know that it's not right, and we know the right things to do. The truth is, I want to beg President Bola Tinubu and members of National Assembly. I know the importance of Nnpc to the political class as a conduit and avenue for slush fund for them. That is why presidents since 1999 will always assume the role of petroleum minister, so that they can keep an eye on that golden geese that lay the golden egg. But they are not sweating, they are not nourishing the geese to be able to lay enough egg to take care of the 217 million estimated Nigerian population. So can't we do the right thing? Can't we see how Petrobras is operating? Can't we see how the Nigerian liquefied natural gas is operating? The highest a president will stay in office is 8 years. So after 8 years, the rot continues. Can't there be somebody that will just say, okay, let me be statesman, let me just do this for the sake of God and posterity and generations unborn? Please, Mr. President, I beg you, with National Assembly, kickstart the process to divest 60% of Nigerian shareholding in Nnpc. Let the shares, even if we don't want to bring foreign investors, we have capable indigenous investors that can take up those shares. And when there is corporate governance in place, when there is transparency and accountability, when the board and management of the company is not determined by who is Mr. President or where the Mr. President comes from or who is this or who is that, when the Nnpc is shielded from unholy political interferences like we've been having over the last 24 years, when it's allowed to run transparently like the NLNG or like the Petrobras or the Aramcos of this world, we will see the asset grow to over $200 billion. We will see investments of nothing less than $20 billion flow in annually. I can bet a finger that if we open up that space and the new Nnpc that is private sector driven in the real sense of it, listed on the floor of the exchange, if they want to raise $30 billion bond to do explorations anywhere in the Nigeria, to expand on the oil assets, both the liquid asset and the physical asset, Nigerians in diaspora and Nigerians at home will buy up those instruments. And this is the truth. The truth out there is that politicians see the Nnpc as their conduit slush fund, but it should not be so. Loosen up, allow this country to breathe, allow this country to move forward. Divest 60% of the federal government shareholding in Nnpc, let it be listed on the floor of the exchange, get private sector investors, and I bet, of course, by divesting the Nnpc today is valued at about $58 to $62 billion. By divesting $60 billion, we will get at least $30 to $35 to $40 billion come into the Federation account that can even help us to stabilize the naira and give us a foundation to build. Come on, think about this. We can do better than Petrobras. Thank you and God bless you.